Well, welcome to spring, and I've got a 1995 Saturn Sl2 here with a 1.9 dual overhead cam engine. And I actually bought the car back in December of 21 at the auction. And it kind of got turned into a commuter car for my wife. And she's kind of liked the gas mileage of it. And so it's stayed. I really like the wraparound glass on the back window. I'm sure that's not a cheap piece of glass. It's got some bumps and bruises, but you know, it is a 95 model. It says twin cam on the back, and Saturn is embossed on the back bumper. Here's a little shot of the engine. It's in nice shape. The only things I really had to do to keep the car going is replace the front brake pads. Needed a thermostat, wasn't getting much heat out of it, and the water pump was leaking. You know, the paint does leave a little to be desired, but it sure does run good. It's got the plastic panels. It's kind of an oddly optioned car because you've got a sunroof, but you've got roll-up windows. But then again, you've got air conditioning. And we got the car with 127,000, and we've got 140,541 on it now. Yeah, I think it had probably nearly 128 on it. I can't remember exactly. And it's got AM, FM, cassette, cruise. And it's got ABS and traction control. I drove this car last winter a little bit in the snow, and it did phenomenal. The front wheel drive, it did great. Back seat is actually kind of adequate for a car of this nature. You don't have a ton of leg room, but it's a small car. I've definitely seen worse. And you've got a little spoiler on the back. And it even came with the original owner's handbook. Very nicely illustrated. I mean, you don't get pictures in owner's manuals like this these days. Lots of pictures. And look at this, it even shows you how to change your transmission fluid. Now they don't want you touching it. How to take care of everything in the car. It's really a nice owner's manual. Hardcover. And it even comes with its spare key, which is made of plastic. So a plastic key for a plastic car. This being a 95, this is the last year of the original square body Saturn SL. from the original year in 1991. Yeah, there's a few upgrades. It doesn't have the seat belts on the tracks. Thank goodness for that. And it's got dual airbags. And, you know, other year-to-year upgrade. But 1995 is the last year of the square body style. So if you're a Saturn fan, this is really a nice thing to have, because it's the last year of the original. First generation of Saturn was 1991 to 1995. And Saturn, as I'm sure you know, is no longer around. But they did a lot of changes after these plastic cars, and it kind of turned into kind of more of the same when these little cars were something special. The prices were already preset. They had like a no haggle deal going on. You know, you went in, you want the car, and if you don't, you don't. And it was kind of made for people that, you know, you just wanted a car. That's all you cared about. You just wanted a car. You didn't need a whole bunch of extra junk. You just need something to get around in. And I think they really did a nice job on these. So there's the old water pump. It was leaking pretty good. But nice thing about a old Saturn, the parts are cheap and they're not the end of the world to replace things. And it's all topped off with Prestone, distilled water, and antifreeze. But overall, I've been pretty impressed. I'm going to go ahead and take you back to the day I actually bought the car, and show kind of driving it around the first night we got it, and changing the brake pads and the oil.
It's a 1995 Saturn SL, low miles of 127.
It runs, it drives, it's just a Saturn. Good go to work economy car. On a little 95 Saturn. Who wants to bid 500 and get it going? Bid 5, 500, bid 5, bid 5, 500.
Well, we made it back into town with the Saturn, and now we're at the musical lights display. We've got the little stock radio tuned in. So far, then a brake light and an ABS light we'll have to figure out. It's doing okay. So here we are in the 95 Saturn, just driving around looking at Christmas lights. Picked the thing up an hour ago and we're already trusted enough to do leisurely activities in. Alright, it's back home, it's in the garage. I wonder if it will restart or not. Let's find out. Well, that's a good sign. Well, got her in the garage here. You can see she's been sitting under some trees for a little bit. A positive note, I don't really see too much leakage. Valve cover looks good. Air filter looks really good. Yeah. Originally equipped with Delco Freedom maintenance-free battery. And I got the battery on my battery charger. Just gonna let that cook for a while. Let it kind of do a deep charge, replenish that battery all the way. Well, finally able to get some work started on the 95 Saturn Sl2. So I showed you the top of the car. Now looking at the bottom side, looks to be in pretty good shape. So this car's been in the garage here for going on a month, and there are no fresh oil drips. So that is a very good sign. All right, got the oil flowing out of it. I think I'm just going to leave it up here on jack stands tonight and let her just do a good solid drain. Now it did need a couple of front turn signal bulbs, and those are easy enough to replace. That one right there. Okay, that side's in. And as you can see, they're all working good again. Okay, I went ahead and let it drain all night. Got a new oil filter on, and I'm ready to fill it up with fresh oil. And that looks right where it's supposed to be. So let's put the lid on her. All right. We'll start her up. It's always a good idea to check the air in the spare tire as well. This one is not even registering on my tire gauge. So typically on a donut, take 60 psi, because a spare tire is no good when you need it and there's no air in it. So do yourself a favor and check the air in your spare. About halfway. Alrighty, all full of air again. Probably never been checked. So here's the new brake pads. And there's the old ones. Yeah, they were worn right down to the squealers. once here. Take a little Sl2 brake lubricant. Just a little bit of grease on the contact points. Rotors are in just fine shape. I'm not going to worry about replacing them. Perfectly smooth. There we go. And we'll get our old brake pad. Put it in right there on the caliper. Very gently ease that piston back into the caliper, just like so. And let's see how we did on our brake fluid reservoir. Try didn't squeeze all the fluid back up. Well, it's not overfilled. That's good. All right. Let's clean our slide pins up. When you re-grease them, you got to make sure you get the kind of brake lubricant that is safe for rubber, because some of it, it's okay for contact points, but it's not okay for the rubber boots. Kind I got here, the Sl2, that's okay for rubber. Then we're going to torque the bolts down. I'm doing about 30 foot-pounds. Okay, all done. The other side I went ahead and did because I'm not going to bore you doing the same thing twice. The rear brakes on this car are disc brakes, and looking through the inspection window, we look like we got plenty of meat on those pads, so don't got to do anything here. I think I'm going to test the brake fluid here. Yeah, and it looks like it's got 3% moisture in it, so I'm going to go ahead and get that swapped out. And I got my little lab pump hooked up to my right rear bleeder valve. And as you can see, there goes the old brake fluid. Now we got the left rear side going. I got the fronts all done, and then I went and had someone come and help me bleed the system just by pushing on the brake pedal on all four wheels, just to make sure that no air got into the system. But that really got out the majority of the old fluid. Okay, we got the brake fluid all flushed out, and probably used about a quart of new brake fluid just to flush the system real good and get it all topped back up again. See down there, nice and clean. The last time I was at the wrecking yard, I picked up a badge for the Saturn. I'm going to use a little bit of this DAP Rapid Fuse glue. It always does a nice job. And we'll get that back on the front of it. Got a little bit of glue on there. Yeah, it needs paint, but that makes it look a little bit better, right? And we'll take it for a quick drive here. Car drives pretty good for being just a little plastic Saturn. There's some road noise, but it's not horrible. Got her up to about 50 miles an hour, a little above. Seems to get pretty good gas mileage, probably around 30. But yeah, she's put about 13,000 miles on the car, and it's been pretty good. Decent pickup.